Hey YouTube, it's Mac here.
And Sean.
Welcome to the Improvement Project. This week we'll be talking about the good, the bad, the ugly with friendship. So this week we thought it would be a good chance for us to just kind of discuss the recent things that we've been talking about, and that is just regarding our friend circle and how that has kind of changed over the years. And in addition to that, we've also been noticing a lot of small issues that have kind of, I guess, just surfaced up in our conversations. So we thought that would be a good chance just to share with the community. So, Sean, it sounds like there's been a lot on your mind so far. Tell us what's up.
Yeah, so I think you said it really well when you said the good, the bad, and the ugly of friendships. Because I think, when you look online, you see a lot of highlights of all these friendships and people doing all these things, but I don't personally notice too much about how to navigate those friendships and relationships. And I'm by no means, or we're not by no means like gurus of that, but we do go through our own set of problems when having friends as well. So something that's currently happened to me is I've had a friend for quite a long time. I'd say like 10 years plus. And as I've gotten older, we've stayed friends, and we've stayed in contact. But in recent times, something specifically happened where this person slighted me a little bit, and it made me kind of reconsider and start to evaluate that friendship a little bit. And I think it's healthy to do that. Personally, I'm a very visual person, and I just visualize a lot of things in life. And if you look at your own self and your own life, and you have a garden of vegetables and there's some flowers in there, if you have some weeds that are soaking up the nutrients in your garden or in your vegetable patch, you won't be able to flourish and bloom and grow to your maximum potential. And I'm not necessarily stating to completely weed this person out in my situation, but it's a thought that's come across my head because as you grow and as you progress in life, you create new friendships of people who are kind of running alongside of you. And it's not to say that this person's a bad person or some of these friends that I've had to cut out are bad people. They're just not adding value to me anymore. And it's been tough, because on an emotional level, I feel like it's had like a negative impact on me because it's tough to create space between somebody that I've been friends with for such a long time and knows a lot about me. I think that arguably stems from a point of wanting to be liked. And when I was growing up, I always wanted to have, to be the life of the party and for everyone to like me. But I think now that I've become a little bit more secure in myself and realize more of my own innate value, it's more about what makes sense for me and what's good for my life, and what's adding value to me. With that, unfortunately, comes having to cut some people out, and that's currently what I'm going through. And I was talking to Mac about this a little bit about how I felt and how the situation should play out. What's the mature thing to do? Where I'm still acting with tact. I'm still giving respect to the person, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Or that's where my I guess headspace is at right now. So that's why I kind of want to talk about it today. And that's currently what I'm going through.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot on your plate right now. So I don't know this person too well, but like, are you? It sounds like you've been really good friends with this guy for a long time, and are you guys coworkers or something?
No, we're just childhood friends. Actually, we're friends
Mhm.
from like high school, actually, and so um, it's been like 10 years since high school. So you can imagine the time that's gone on, and we've stayed pretty close through a majority of that. So he's really, one of the few people that has seen me go from, being 14, well, not 14, maybe like 15, 16, all the way out to being 28, turning 29 now. So it's yeah, there's definitely a relationship in there.
Yeah. So like having a friendship that has existed for so long, it's not easy to just say, hey, I'm going to start limiting my time with my friend and just kind of um, trying to limit my association and just move on with my life. Like, how do you plan to navigate through all that? Because at the end of the day, you and him were a big part of each other's life, and it's going to take a lot of thought to kind of make sure that you guys are still on good terms and you guys can still act, I guess, mature and just make sure you maintain that peace, right?
Yeah, I've seen this like around online where people say that no friendship lasts over 10 years, which I disagree with. I think I currently maintain relationships and friendships that are over 10 years. I don't know if it's necessarily the case where there's almost an obligation to keep the relationship active and like alive just for the sake of the time that we've known each other. You know, even you could look at it from like a sunk cost bias when you look at like an investment term, or if you look at how people are in like romantic relationships. When you look at your sunk cost bias, sometimes people are like, "Well, I've spent like 8 years with the person. I don't want to leave." You know, it's like I'm not going to erase those 8 years. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I saw this quote actually on Instagram probably like a couple weeks ago, and I saved it. It's pertaining specifically to like a romantic relationship, but I feel like it's applicable to the situation. And this is how the quote goes. It says, "Your chapter in my book is over. It will forever be one of my favorites, but I cannot keep rereading it, hoping for a different ending." And how I view that is that, you know, that was an awesome time. You know, we partied together, we did all these things, and we grew up essentially together. But I can't pigeonhole onto this relationship and hope for, you know, this person to suddenly start adding value to my life. And, you know, I just have to look back as it's a positive memory and have, you know, smile when I think about it. But I don't know if there's actually an obligation to maintain the relationship just because of the duration that we've known each other.
Yeah, and that's something I would really agree with you on that. I think it's about kind of having a more open mindset where you realize that, hey, those were an awesome 15 years that you shared with your friends, where you've created many good memories and you've essentially seen each other grow. But now you also have to start understanding how to put yourself first and realize that it's okay to kind of leave things behind and just appreciate the time spent together. But now that you've got so much going for yourself right now. You're, you know, you're in a very busy career and you're doing well for yourself, and you need to start having uh, your friend circle really be there to support you, to add value, and vice versa. And if you just simply start to recognize that that friend isn't being I guess, a good friend anymore, then it might be time to kind of start limiting your association with that. So I think that's a really healthy realization that you came to terms with, and it's not being selfish. I think it's just being just being true to yourself and just understanding that these are some of like the difficult decisions that we have to make in life, but we have to do so if we want to move on.
Yeah,
So
and like to even like slightly unpack something you just said there, we talking about, you know, is this a good friend? You know, to break that down, there's I guess like how I see it is like there's different types of friendships. You know, there's I think anyone listening to this would agree. You know, there's friends that you go party with, and then there's friends that you may travel with, or there's friends that you might do X, Y, and Z with, play sports with. But like the type of relationships that I'm talking about are the people who are in your corner. You know, like your close circle, the people who really have an influence in your life, and you know whether that be positive or negative. I guess like I'm trying to create a circle of association and impact of people that brings value and leans towards positivity, and we're on the same page. So it doesn't take away anything from this person that we're talking about. I'm not saying that they're a bad person or they're a good person. It's just that we're not on the same page and we're not in the same place in life. And so um, they may be a good person for sure. It's just we're not. I'm not being added value to. So that's kind of the struggle because the emotional side wants me to wants to pigeonhole, but the rational side says do the right thing and let's move on and move forward with these relationships that are progressing together and we're running in life together. And actually, I know sort of to sidetrack here, but there's a book that talks about this as well. It's called The Compound Effect, and I highly recommend anyone to read that. And it talks about this in one of the examples that your daily choices will amount to massive outcomes in 10, 15, 20 years. And that also stems from who you associate with. And Mac's been helping me out with that and kind of overcoming that. But I know he has his own experiences as well in, relationship management and having to know, who to spend time with and your association and who's adding value to you. Do you have a few things to say, so your experiences in the last few years?
yeah, absolutely. So it's really interesting that we're actually having this talk about friendship because now that the summer's almost over, I'm about to go back to school to finish engineering. And just, yeah, with all this time I've had off, I really had the opportunity to just kind of reflect on the last 5, 6 years of my life and just specifically on the topic of friendship. I noticed before, I would always be that guy that would want to be out on a Friday night, going to all these parties, being popular, going shopping, eating out, just kind of like the life of it all, just being the center of attention. And it was a very fast-paced lifestyle where I didn't really spend a lot of time at home, and I was always talking to a very large number of people. And I thought that was really good for me because I was getting attention and I was just well known. But um, as I as I started my degree in engineering, I didn't realize how difficult these courses were. And I'm telling you, man, I had to start staying in on Friday nights. I had to start just studying. I had to spend my weekends at the library studying with my classmates, working on these labs and term projects. And it just got so crazy to the point where I didn't really have a social life anymore. And what I could do before, go out, have fun, party, I couldn't really do that. And I just noticed over time, my old friends kind of just started to do their own thing, go out on their own, and they stopped, I guess, checking up on me. And just over time, I became really phased out. So, yeah, it was a really, I guess, interesting time for me where um, I spent a lot of weekends to myself and just studying with my classmates. But you know what? Over time, I kind of realized this was a bit of a wake-up call. And I realized that my perspective of friendships and like what I find valuable in that has really changed. Before, I was so caught up of being someone that was very popular, I was insecure, and I just needed to be out there and have a lot of people know me. But now I really understand that it's a lot better to value quality over quantity and just really start making friends that are going to be there for me to want to see me do well and succeed and complete my degree, and vice versa. I also want to be, I guess, able to be a better friend and provide that value as well. If my friend's car breaks down on a Friday night at 3 a.m., I want to be that person where they could call for me to come and help them out. Um, if if like my buddy's going through a bad breakup or something like that, I want to be that guy that's able to provide that that shoulder for him to cry on, or just for me to listen to what he has to say. So I guess these are a few of the things that I've kind of just understood about myself, and I guess just moving forward, I'm someone that recognizes it's more important to have valuable friends where we want to see each other grow and succeed, healthy relationships, and really value the concept of quality over quantity.
Yeah, I can really appreciate that when you're talking about the concepts of the relationship, and it takes a tremendous amount of self-awareness to be able to even articulate what you're saying. And I wanted to actually ask you a question. So when you're going through this transition, you're going through school and you're almost phasing out of an old friend circle into a new one. That old friend circle, I'm sure, is very close to you at that time. You spent a lot of time together, a lot of experiences, a lot of stories and memories. So how did you move through that on an emotional level and kind of transition to being like, yeah, of course, on the surface, like it makes the most sense. It's the rational thing, but how did you deal with the emotional side of things?
I'll be honest with you, it wasn't easy. Like I said before, I started to spend my Friday nights staying in on my own, studying, or I'll be in the library with my classmates. And it just really took a toll on me because I felt really disconnected. So um, I was very, I guess, unorganized in terms of my emotions. And um, it, I guess, made me a bit insecure. But what really helped me is just like having that awareness and being open mind to that, or um, stop, 3 2 1 start, yeah, and just kind of being open minded and be willing to accept that change, and understanding that I have to put myself in an uncomfortable, I guess, position, and just really just understand my environment and understand the change that is going around me. And if that means that I have to leave old friends behind because we're not on the same page and we're just, I guess, in a different chapter in life, then I have to recognize that, because the sooner I'm able to put that aside, the faster I can focus on what's going around me and what's more important in my life and my own chapter. I'm still writing the book right now. I'm about to complete my degree. I'm making really good friends in my profession, and I find it's been a bit of a process, but I'm learning every day, and yeah, I guess that's kind of my, I guess, 2 cents on that.
That's awesome. I think something that you do actually like a really good job of, and like knowing you for so long now, and your new relationships, I've noticed that these friendships seem to go deeper. They have a deeper connection than the relationships that you had prior, which were usually centered around like an activity, like partying or whatever. And it's very surface level. But I've noticed that the friendships you're carrying now go at a much deeper level, and you have more of an intimate connection with your friends now than you did before. And I think you do a really good job of putting yourself first and maintaining those relationships. And it's something that I think I aspire to get better at. And I think we can all take a little bit of that to learn from.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so funny that you said that actually, because yeah, before our like what me and Sean did before, we were just really concerned about doing something in a big friend group where it was, I guess, like centered around partying or a big activity. But nowadays, we find a lot of joy just going grocery shopping and then just cooking on a Friday night, staying in and having good chats. And we find that is more valuable and it goes a lot further than just having a night out. Yeah, those were all really interesting points that you brought up, Sean.
Yeah, that's what's been going on in our lives. It's a little bit of a a darker conversation this week, but it's real. And I'm sure people out there can relate. So that's it for this week's video. I just hope you guys found some value in it. You're able to get a little bit of a snippet of something. Again, if you have anything to add or if you have any recommendations for us to improve ourselves, give us a shout and drop a comment in the comment section below. And otherwise, until next time, the next video we're looking at is going to be a little bit maybe spicier, actually. We're going to bring in one of our friends, talk about some dating things and relationships. So stay tuned for that. Have a great one. Bye.